Some recent research uncovered the interesting fact that a new mum is much more likely to breastfeed her new baby if she herself was breastfed by her mother. Now, Seth is now 36 years ago, things were very, very different. Bottle feeding was done by the majority of new mums. And when I had Seth, you were in hospital for a week. And there were 30 of us in one ward. And you stayed in and you for this week. And you fed your baby every 4 hours. And they wheeled a trolley full of bottles in. And all the mums went and took their bottles. And I and another mum were the only ones in that ward of 30 who were breastfeeding their baby. I just felt instinctively that I wanted to feed my baby. And so I managed the week on this 4-hourly routine. And in those days, you did 10 minutes on one side and then 10 minutes on the other side. And that was it. And you burped them and put them down. And if they didn't sleep, they didn't sleep. Obviously, in those days, it was so easy to bottle feed and so normal to bottle feed. But I said to myself, what if I was in a jungle and I didn't have access to powdered milk and boiling things and sterilize this and sterilize that? And I thought, I'm just going to plow on. And I did. And I fed Seth for 12 months and I fed all my babies for a minimum of 12 months. Actually, some of them 15 to 16 months. But I know that nowadays the recommendation is that you feed exclusively, if you possibly can, for 6 months before you start solids. And I know there are some mums who go into breastfeeding with absolutely the best of intentions and things just don't work out for them. But you know, if you can just give your baby that start, even for 2 or 3 months, that is fantastic. Because as you may know, the very, very early milk in the very first few days is packed full of antibodies. And so you are bestowing on your baby a marvellous gift of immunity to all sorts of bugs out there. Do you know, you probably won't want to hear this, but there are thousands of bacterial life form all over you and all over your baby, and most of them are very, very friendly. A few of them are not friendly, and those are the ones you need protection from. And you are giving your baby a wonderful gift by breastfeeding them, even if you can only do it for a matter of weeks or 3 or 4 months. It can be a bit uncomfortable to start with, but you just get through that. And the other thing that can sometimes happen is you can feel quite heavy and uncomfortable, and just work your way through it. You'll get over it. And you'll eventually get into a rhythm, and it won't be, gosh, I only fed this baby an hour ago. Your baby may be windy and they think they're hungry. So if after an hour or so your baby seems to be crying and seems to be hungry again, they may just be feeling windy and fretful. Just see if you can keep them going a bit longer, but otherwise just put them back on and they'll have a little suck and maybe they'll go back to sleep. The other thing actually with breastfeeding, and actually any kind of feeding, if you've got a Wilkinet and your baby falls asleep while you're feeding and you really can't wake them up again, put them in the Wilkinet and they'll probably sleep for longer between feeds anyway. But also it's easier for them to bring up their wind. And then the other thing is that if they do stir and wake up a little bit, if they're nice and cozy and comfy next to you, and you perhaps give them a few pats, they'll fall asleep again, and then they'll be what I call properly hungry when they properly wake up. Back in the day, again, one did not breastfeed in public. So you covered yourself over. Again, I was a wee bit of a dippy hippie, I suppose, in those days, and it didn't bother me in the least bit. It was other people that was more embarrassed than me, and anyway, you just get a shawl and throw it over you. I mean, if you're in somebody's home and if they're embarrassed, well, you can always go into another room, can't you? But, you know, it's easy peasy to breastfeed your baby rather than bottle feed because it's on tap. Well, I'm going to talk about something that's a little bit, it's a sensitive topic. I know, okay, some husbands or partners seem to assume that their partner's boobs belong to them. Well, that's between you and your partner, but actually, you know, they were designed to feed your baby, and that could be a pressure for some women. The other thing that can be a pressure is that they're never going to be the same again. Well, it's the price you pay. And if that matters that much to you, then you need to think about it really seriously. But if it doesn't matter that much, well, just go ahead and breastfeed and know that you're giving your child a really, really fantastic start. And again, on this topic, it is a most unfortunate circumstance of our society. Now, I hope you don't think I sound like a complete prune here, but it does annoy me intensely when one's anatomy is seen in the region of being some kind of sexual object, something that enhances your sex appeal, when in actual fact they're a very useful part of your anatomy that is there to provide nourishment for your darling little baby. There's something else that happens with breastfeeding. There's a tremendous bonding process that goes on. You feel a tremendous, it's probably the hormones, but there's a tremendous sense of love that comes to you as you're feeding your baby. And there's something magical about holding your baby to the breast and then feeding, and their little hand is just on your chest there, or they're holding onto your thumb and they're looking up at you. It's a wonderfully intimate moment with your baby, and the knowledge that you're giving them this very nutritious start, and they're bonding with you. And again, for you mums out there that have tried and maybe haven't been as successful as you wanted to be, it's not about failing to do what's best for your baby. If you've tried and it hasn't worked out, that's okay. But I just want to end here on the note that breastfeeding your baby has so many benefits. There's the bonding, there's the nourishment you're giving them, and also it's a time when you feel as if you're getting to know each other a little bit better. And if you can do it for as long as possible, good for you. Okay, good luck.